What is up everyone, welcome back to our channel and also welcome to our first episode about Battlefield 5. Even though it has been a game that has been around since 2018, I have to say thanks to Jack Frags, which is an amazing streamer, and I'm sure if you guys do follow the gaming industry, Jack is definitely one of the people you would need to follow as well. He has been keeping the community up for Battlefield, especially for Battlefield 5, and in my whole honesty, this indeed is a game that it's absolutely stunning. I think, given that Battlefield in the meantime had a new release, which we'll cover in the next few days, Battlefield 5 by all means is one of those games that it would be a timepiece. Not only from the graphic perspective, but also the gameplay. I think it has been so well put together and so well optimized to actually immerse you and make you feel that you're in that era of the world that I don't think any other game has managed to do that as of yet. Of course, there are a few other games out there which are really well done simulators, but I do feel that the way that Battlefield had managed to piece those things together regarding the Second World War and the time frame and the historical accuracy is just amazing. So if you have not tried the game as yet, I would strongly recommend doing so. It's obviously a lot more affordable nowadays. You would tend to find deals on any sort of console or PC that you're looking to play the game on. But the servers, most importantly, are still action-packed. People are still playing the game, and I have seen people with all sorts of levels, so it doesn't necessarily become a sweaty environment where people are abusing the experience that they have. It's still a game that it's enjoyable for everyone, and if you have a few friends that you tend to play with, by all means this is one of those games that is worth trying. In this video we'll be playing a Conquest game. We'll play with a few randoms, so I was by myself when I started the game, and the game automatically assigned me to a few other people. So yeah, I think it's just worth highlighting and showcasing how the actual gameplay is. If you're used with some other fast-paced first-person shooters, this is probably going to take a bit of a while to get used with. The movements and the actual gameplay, it's a lot slower. It's a lot more, I would say, realistic in the sense of you're not overwhelmed with carrying 3 or 4 weapons and bags of loot. So don't necessarily have those expectations that you'll be able to jump with rocket ships and so on from left to right. It is not like that. It's a lot more slow. It's a lot more tactical, and if anything, it's one of those games that you can't necessarily go head in first, especially if you haven't played it before. I would suggest taking a step back, acknowledging your environment, and then make your steps. Because otherwise you get very frustrated. There will be people which will either not be as straightforward, so they will be in the back line of the firing range, and they'll just shoot you and kill you straight away. So yeah, just bear that in mind. It's one of those games that is very tactical, and you need to be extremely careful when you're approaching a target. But it goes without saying, if you did play Battlefield 1, it's extremely similar. The gameplay, it's very much like that. In my opinion, the graphics were a bit better in Battlefield 1, given that the actual setup or the maps themselves were a lot more detailed. But it goes without saying that Battlefield 5 also has its own view of certain areas that they've absolutely nailed it. So if you are interested, there's a few channels on YouTube which are kind of covering how they've developed the game, and I just find all of that very interesting, and just showing that the development team behind it had really put some thoughts into it. But furthermore, I was surprised to also acknowledge that there had been an update beginning of this year, which also shows that the development team is also keeping the community together. They haven't just forgot about it and carried on. I think the fact that the game still gets some love, still gets some support, it's really key. It's just making your experience better than anything. And at the end of the day, you know, you're part of the tribe that is keeping the game together. So yeah, I think it's a fantastic move from the DICE team that had developed the game to continue in providing us some support and some seasons. But I would be really interested to know from you guys as well if you have played it, if you're still playing it, or if you're planning to play it anytime soon, because it is definitely a timepiece game. It's one of those games that will probably age really well, and you know, even if you want to revisit certain elements of it, it's definitely worth reinstalling it. Also, it doesn't necessarily have a single player campaign. There are just different stories that you can play. It's really an introduction, I think, to the overall multiplayer gameplay. So, you know, if you want to give that a go first and then jump into the multiplayer, that's absolutely fine. I think it's really fun as well. There's some really emotional stories out there. And again, they're just short stories about certain characters, which, you know, at one point they will all make sense, but they're all separate stories. They don't necessarily have any connection between them, other than the fact that they were all participating in the war. So yeah, it's worth keeping that in mind if you want to give the single player a shot first. But as everyone else, I guess, playing this game, the multiplayer, it's what you're really after, and it's where you're seeing the most value. It's superb. You have also a few other options that you can play, not necessarily just the bigger maps, but you can also play multiplayer, which is on smaller maps, and also even larger maps where you have planes and tanks and so on. So it just really depends on your style and what you're expecting from the game, and surely that the game does deliver to those expectations. So, I mean, one of the questions probably to ask everyone watching this video: what do you think about Battlefield recently? Have they raised your expectations? Have you really followed the franchise as much? What is your general view of Battlefield? It's one of those things that, even though competing against some of the other bigger franchises on first-person multiplayer games, I think they're also fairly niche. They are very different in the games that they are producing and publishing. So I would be really interested to know, at least to understand my community, and whether, you know, you're a fan of theirs or someone else's. But I mean, in my case, as my channel suggests, I'm loving any first-person shooter game. But for me, Battlefield does have a really special place in my heart, given that it's such a stunning and gorgeous game. So, I mean, also, I would be really interested to know if there's any other games with some historical value coming up anytime soon. I mean, of course, you know, we're no longer 7 or 8 years ago. A lot of modern events have recently happened, so there'll be a lot of games which will probably cover that in the next couple of years. But I'm really intrigued to know if there will be any more World War games coming anytime soon. Because if if there won't be any others, I think Battlefield will surely be up there in setting up the expectation bar when it comes to well, what everyone is expecting of this style of games. But also, it goes without saying, I guess being part of a larger community and wanting to build a larger community with my channel, if you do guys have any sort of tips and tricks for anyone watching this video and which hasn't tried the game, please share them down below. I think you will definitely help. And again, really sorry to make another mention of this, but it's definitely worth following Jack Frags for more content surrounding Battlefield. I'll try my best also to do some more. Of course, my channel is fairly new, so bear with me on this particular topic. But Jack has covered some of the main things regarding this game, so I would strongly recommend checking his videos just to get a context around the gameplays that he has experienced. So also, it is good to understand what game style you guys gonna choose to play the game. Will you be on console? Will you be on PC? Of course, the game style experience it's very different, and you know, anyone playing on a PC will experience the game in a very different way than someone that plays on a console. But I'm interested to know again what my community looks like, what's the style of choice for people, and of course which game mode you will be more lenient towards. Again, I think if you're on console, there's certain limitations regarding how you can play the game. When on PC, you're probably gonna find them a lot easier. But then again, I guess it's something to do with everyone's skill set. So, you know, if you're fairly confident about how to play a similar style shooter, I'm sure you'll be absolutely fine. But I mean, overall, guys, I do think we covered most of the stuff I want to speak with you about. Again, as most of the recordings I'm doing, Battlefield 5, it's surely a game that is surrounding the community. People do tend to be fairly mature about the game, and also they stick up to each other. So just keep that in mind. It's definitely quite pleasant to know that you're having people to back you up whenever there's a question. So I would be, again, really interested to know if any of you will give it a go, if you have give it a go, and what is your general view of the game. So once more, guys, thanks so much for watching, thanks so much for all your support. I hope to see you guys again soon, and have a lovely rest of the weekend.
Taken objective Baker. Ammo needed here!